Are the tariffs that we are seeing right now the catalyst of the inflation that continues to rise, or are they just being blamed for the problem?
So I think it's too early to tell if they're going to be the key drivers going forward, but they're not helping them come down. So if you thought 6 months ago things cost too much, many of those things are just as expensive, if not more expensive today, because of that and because of the tariffs, frankly. As you're going back to school and you're going to the store to buy clothes for your children, you'll see that clothes are probably slightly more expensive, if not a lot more expensive, because many of those clothes you're buying either come from a foreign country or parts of them are made in a foreign country. If you're going to go buy a new car and you decide that what you want is an F-150, that F-150 is going to be more expensive because the aluminum that makes that F-150 truck, much of that comes from Canada or from another country. So I think that the unfortunate truth is that prices are not coming down. They're likely to go up more over time, which is exactly the opposite of what the economy needed because of the tariffs that have been put in place.
Would it be fair to say that we're in a tariff war?
I would say that usually that requires two sides.
Yeah.
It's like saying, "Are we in a fight?" when only one of you is punching.
Yeah.
I don't consider. Yeah, I don't think it's. I think what's happening is the United States is unilaterally trying to reset the terms of trade with our friends and foes. And the hard part watching it is that we're being far tougher on our friends than our foes. The idea that we're taking harder steps against Canada now than we are against countries like China, I think is hard for people to understand. I think we all wish the president success in terms of trying to build more things in the United States. I think the challenging part is that it feels like in lots of ways the strategy is leading to making things harder on the same people who need the relief at the moment.
The reason I called it a war is because Canada's fighting back. China's fighting back. Yeah. We're getting blows that we weren't getting at first. There are countries that are forbidding us to be able to get visas to go into their countries because we did them. So it doesn't seem totally one-sided. We may have initiated it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But it seems like the blows are coming both ways, and the people are stuck in the middle of the fight.
Totally agree. I think it's a Swahili saying that says, "The grass suffers when the elephants fight."
Right.
And I think the people are the ones who are suffering the most in terms of higher cost. And I think to your point, my view is that we've done a lot more in terms of the actions we've taken against other countries. But I don't think other countries are done reacting to what we've done. They may do it quietly. It may be over time. We may not see it right away. But my big concern, we have a young man in the audience who knows this better than me, is that ultimately one of the strengths of the United States has been that countries like us, they want to be our allies, they want to be our partners, they want to work with us. That has helped us through generations both avoid wars, but also create economic opportunities for our country. People want to wear Nike shoes around the world, not just here in the United States. My fear is that over time, if we're going to be the belligerents against these other countries, they're going to have less favorable views about America. They're going to buy fewer American things, which is not to our benefit.
We have historically had the strongest economy in the world. Do you think we're going to maintain that position, or have we already lost that position? When I look at my grandchildren, are they going to enjoy the benefits, or is this the beginning of the slow erosion like every other empire that we have seen down through history? Are we on the trajectory that leads this country down a hill we can't get back up?
So I think right now the United States continues to have the strongest economy in the world. That's why everybody wants to make deals with us, because they ultimately want to be able to sell things to American consumers. I do think we have choices to make, and if we make the wrong choice, as you said, like this is not our success is not promised to us. It's because of choices we've made over generations to invest in the country, to unlock opportunity for Americans. And if we make the wrong choices, I do worry about the fact that America's position in the world is going to erode. But I think we still have the opportunity to make those choices. We've faced challenges throughout our history. The question is, what do we choose to do in that moment? And right now, my fear is that we're making a set of choices that are going to set us back, that aren't going to benefit your grandchild.
What are the choices that, if they were yours to make, that would make us more sustainable and our future more bright?
I do think that the place where the president is right is that we do need to make more things in the United States. The thing that I also believe, though, is that the best way to beat someone in a race is not to tie their shoes together, but instead to run faster. And we've got to invest more in the United States, especially in these communities that have been left out and left behind. So helping to build up that manufacturing base, investing in the small business ecosystem. You are so right that small businesses are the secret sauce to America. The companies that today are in the top of the S&P 500, they weren't there 40 years ago.
Right.
They were all small businesses.
Right.
Innovation is the key to our economy. So from my standpoint, the key for us is how do we invest in small businesses? How do we invest in people? How do we unlock that opportunity? And how do we create markets for Americans? I watched a conversation you had recently where you were talking about investment on the continent.
Yes.
And the thing that we often fail to recognize is that the place where the most people in the world are going to live 30, 40, 50 years from now is going to be in Africa. The United States should want to engage in those growing markets in a meaningful way. So to me, the truth is if the different set of choices I think that we would think about making would be how do we invest in America, in our people, but how do we also unlock opportunities for Americans to be able to sell things, to do things with allies and partners around the world?
Beyond semantics, once affirmative action, now DEI, we've called it a lot of different things. But is it really possible for us to eradicate DEI out of the corporate suites and the business offices and not be able to eradicate it out of the streets and the highways of America, because our country is becoming increasingly diverse and there is no one group of people that's going to be able to run this country without the assistance of other groups of people?
I completely agree, and I think the reality was that a number of companies, after the murder of George Floyd, decided to slap DEI on things, but not to actually do anything. Mm-hmm. So many of those companies were the first ones to also take off DEI. Mm-hmm. But even before you had the term, there were companies who were doing the right thing, not only because it's the morally right thing to do, but because it is in their business interest. Ultimately, they know that their customers are people of color. They know that in order to reach to have the best ideas, to have the brightest people, they need to recruit diverse people. So my view is that ultimately in our society, our highest ideals in our Constitution speak to the idea of us being a diverse country where everyone is given a chance to succeed. But if you're a business in America, you're a big business, a small business, the thing that you want is to get the most talented people who can help advance your business success.
I'm starting to see some synergy in your conversation between elected officials and corporate America in terms of being more concerned about profit margins and or holding your position than you are doing what's best for the country. And I'm not naive enough to think that business people aren't there to make money. They absolutely are. But shouldn't there be a fault line between if you kill your client trying to save your bottom line, who's going to buy your product tomorrow?
Totally true. And I think one of the things that we have done, we have done well in the past and we have to continue to do is we've got to speak with our wallets, ultimately. You think about the civil rights movement and the role that boycotts had there. And I won't mention any companies because I know this is a podcast, but I think that ultimately the actions by the Black community, by communities of color, to boycott companies who are doing the wrong thing and saying, if you don't want to do the right thing by me, I'm not going to spend my money on you, matters. We have economic force, and I think that we have allies and partners in the broader economy because in this country, I think the vast majority of people agree on the importance of us having that diversity is our strength. It gives us the ability to use that economic power to have a real impact on the way that companies act because I've had a chance to work in the private sector, and the thing that I learned was the companies that did best were the ones who were thinking about how they sustainably operate. And that means also thinking about how do I invest in the people from the communities that are my customers to help build talent there that can help my company do better. And if companies aren't doing that, they may have short-term success, but I don't think that that's a long-term recipe for success.